Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Bruce Pollard. Yes, it's a new opening. And before I get started, just because you noticed the new opening, I'm going to tell you what happened. I got the intro music I went to a studio and got the intro music started to play, right? And I paid for that and so forth to kind of get somebody to help me out. And then YouTube started to flag our intro as being owned by some major corporation. So they flagged it with a copyright violation several times. And I said, you know what? Instead of trying to fight it, what I'm going to do is play the music myself in the studio and retape everything in my studio. So whereas I paid for the first one that had a copyright violation, I went ahead and did the whole thing with my keyboards. I had some parts with the guitar, but I figured it would be overkill to get it started. Anyhow, we are going to have a great show for you guys today. The title of the show today is, and I call, Are We Overreacting to the Coronavirus Pandemic? Or is it the exposure of a failed economic system? I did a either or either. And then, as I continued to think about it, I said, you know what? The answer is actually both. The answer is actually both. So here's the thing, guys. Are Americans panicking, overreacting? The stock market is in free fall. Restaurants, bars, and more are closed. Millions, no paychecks. All coronavirus? No. To put it bluntly, as callous as this may say, or as callous as this may be, coronavirus, believe it or not, in my humble opinion, based on what I've seen the market is based on over the last few years, which is nothing, one of my friends said, Egberto, do you think Donald Trump is toast because of what's occurring right now? And my quick and immediate answer was, yeah, he's a goner because, he played the coronavirus so badly. The coronavirus fiasco was played so badly. Donald Trump is definitely going to lose. And then something happened. I saw him sort of gave a serious feeling to the press conference yesterday. Not completely, but for Donald Trump, it was a big thing, the type of press conference that he gave yesterday. So after watching that press conference, I started to say, you know what? This guy, in as much as we understand for all practical purposes what he was talking about were lies and crap, that you who are listening to Politics Done Right, maybe some don't already know this, so they come to Politics Done Right and get in some of the knowledge from all of you, the community, the crowdsourcing. They get informed maybe, but there are a lot of people that just are informed by what they hear on TV, and they believe what they hear on TV is sort of absolute, so they think that is true. My thing now is that just maybe this may be kind of a savior for something that was bound to happen, something that if you listen to other past Politics Done Right, I did say that a real crash was coming because we are based on our current economic system, on how it was built, how it was designed. All the factors to make it a strong economy were false. And yes, you listen to CNBC and they tell you oh, we are strong, the job market is strong, and all these things are strong. But what they didn't tell you is that we were on a house of cards, right? And by the way, Mike Cisak, I think you're going to kind of like what I'm going to play from Governor Cuomo when you say MIT biologist says fear-mongering on coronavirus will go down as the biggest fraud to manipulate economies. I'm not going to quite go that far. I am going to read that piece that you just wrote, though, however, but I'm not going to go that far because fear is a real thing. But Mike Cisak, we'll talk about that a little bit later, and I want to go into some of the stuff that you're going to put out there. I haven't read what you put out there yet, but I will probably take a glance at it when I play one of the videos here. But anyhow, check this out, folks. Beforehand, I want to tell you why it is that Americans are so misinformed, right? I'm going to just play a clip from a questionnaire, a clip from a question that a mainstream media personnel reporter asked the president. He'll give a response and check out what happens. This proves why Americans are uninformed, because we have a media that is not doing its job. Check out how this question on tariffs is asked, how it's answered by the president, and what occurs thereafter. Check this out.
John?
Mr. President, a couple of things. A major trade coalition is calling on you to suspend tariffs with other countries as part of the response to the coronavirus.
Who heads that group? Those countries do, probably.
No, it's an American free trade.
I know, I'm sure of free trade. Look, China's paying us billions and billions of dollars in tariffs, and there's no reason to do that. They haven't even spoken to me about that. China hasn't asked me to do that, but we're getting billions of dollars a year from tariffs from China, and I can't imagine Americans asking for that, but it could be that China will ask for a suspension or something. Let's see what happens. China's having a very rough time. They have their worst year in 76 years, as I understand it. They're having a very, very tough time, and then on top of it, this happened with the virus. But no, we're taking in billions of dollars a year in tariffs, and this was caused by something totally unrelated to tariffs.
And on asylum seekers.
All right, the president is telling a seasoned reporter that Americans are taking in billions of dollars in tariffs from China. And the reporter lets that go by. Okay, China is paying us billions, and that's why China wants to change the policy so that we don't have all these things on, we don't have these tariffs on the products coming from China. Whatever happened to the reporter going back and saying, but Mr. President, China is not paying any tariffs to Americans. The persons who are paying the tariffs are the American people. So you are inputting a tax on the American people to help you collect more money for your budget deficits, which ultimately is a transfer of wealth from the average American citizen to the wealthy. Why didn't the reporter do his job? That one of the reasons I never blame Americans for the mistakes we make in electing bad people is because I understand how stressed out, I understand how overworked Americans are. And for them to do what many of us here are able to do, for them to go ahead and say, okay, let me fact check the president or let me fact check that question, it's not quite that interesting. But if you are listening to Politics Done Right and other independent shows like this, of course, you would know that, right? So one of the first things I want to tell you before we get any further is I beg you, I ask you, I implore of you, please go ahead and share this right now. If you are listening to me right now, please share this program. I promise you this program is going to be fruitful. I promise you this program is going to be informative. I promise you this program is going to be truthful and information that your friends, your families, and everybody else will need to know, will want to know, and you can make that happen. So again, I request humbly, if you're just starting out, if you're listening to us on a podcast, share the podcast. If you're listening to us here on Facebook Live, please share the program. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please share it. If you're listening to us on Twitch or Periscope, please share it. And the reason why, folks, is this. I just showed you that clip. Americans leave that clip thinking, yeah, we're sucking it to China. We're forcing China to pay those tariffs. People, the only people paying the tariffs on China right now is you. Anybody who is listening to my voice right now, they saw a reporter allow the president to get away with a big lie. Okay? And Americans are going to go up and say, no big deal. China is just having to pay a tariff to sell their products in America. No. You are paying the tariff. You cannot go to Walmart. You cannot go to Walmart and buy a product, rarely, that's not made in China. So therefore, and there may be no other counterpart for that product. We are so beholden to China, there's probably no counterpart to that product. So what I'm saying is, do not allow them to get away with this. And the only way they will be informed, if folks like yourself, when you listen to programs like ours, we have to be proactive. We have to be the ones that keep all the people in our sphere of influence, all those that we have influence over. We have to make sure that they as well are informed. So I'm asking you, please remember to share all these programs so that we will be inoculated against all those lies that are continuous from the president. Now, the title of the show today is, are we overreacting to the coronavirus? Now, the mayor of, or not the mayor, but the governor of New York has been, he's been doing press conferences every day. And I actually think he's one that's doing some of the better press conference around the country. And the reason why is not only his calm demeanor, but by the way, before I go any further, Senor Cuomo, who I'll play the video, he is a neoliberal like all the other neoliberals. But again, he's showing a lot of responsibility in the way he's addressing coronavirus and in the way he's trying to not only bend the curve, but handle the overflow that's going to come without at the same time saying we need to imprison people or do anything like that. So what I want you to do is I want you to listen to the mayor, the governor, and then we'll take it on the other side.
This is a health issue. It's a public health crisis. But more than that, I'm telling you, worse than the virus is the fear that we're dealing with and the rumors and how they spread, and I'm going to be quarantined, I'm going to be locked out, they're not going to allow me to leave my house, I better stock up on groceries. That's not going to happen. It's a deep breath. We know what is going to happen here. People will get ill. They will resolve. People who are vulnerable, we have to be careful. But the panic and the fear is wholly disconnected from the reality. The only way I know to communicate it is just what I experience in my own life. And I get those calls every day. And people are just disconnected from the reality of the situation. One of my sisters called me yesterday. I have to have my daughter tested for coronavirus. Why? She has a fever, she's sick, she has flu-like symptoms. I said, has she been exposed to someone positive? No, not that we know of. Did she travel to a hotspot? No. I said, then there's no test, and there's no reason for a test. Leave her home, help her, be careful that she doesn't infect you, but that's it. And flu-like symptoms, and a couple of weeks, she'll feel better and she'll get on with it. The one thing I said to my sister is, don't let her go near mom. It's my mother. My mother's in a different situation. Again, senior citizen, but senior citizens compromise the immune system, underlying illness. I said, don't let her go near mom. Otherwise, treat her as if she has the flu. Well, what do? What's self-quarantine? Well, self-quarantine is what we used to do when somebody had the flu, right? My father would say, go in the room, stay there until you feel better, right? That's crude self-quarantine. The Don't get infected, stay away, throw things away, use hand sanitizer, etc. That's the reality of the situation. I get the drama, I get the anxiety, but all in moderation and all in connection with the facts.
So I hope you get that, because I think that is so important what the governor said there. And, you know, I think I've said that several times. Now, let me be frank now, okay? Let me be frank. I went out to Costco. I went out to HEB, one of our major stores, grocery stores here in Southeast Texas. I went out to Kroger, and I got more stuff than general. And one of the reasons I did that was that everybody else was hoarding. And what I explained to my wife is I said, well, you know, it's better safe than sorry. There's something about this issue. First of all, I just couldn't believe the reaction that people had. And so I assumed that I am wrong. Okay? So then I said, in as much as I don't understand why people are doing this, I am going to go ahead and do some of it to make sure if there's something others know that I don't, that I'm not left holding a bag and run into somebody else's house and say, oh, I didn't get coffee, or I didn't get all these different things. Okay? So I am guilty as well. But as I was doing all these things and stocking up and all of that, in my mind, it's like, why am I doing this? I want to read what I wrote today for Daily Kos and another and my site here. And the reason I want to read this is because one of the issues is, let me read it first. The title of it is MSNBC exposes Trump coronavirus press conference misinformation. I'm going to play that first. And after I play that, I want to read an accompanying blog that I wrote for that, because I think it's important, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Here we go.
Joe Biden said the World Health Organization offered testing kits that they had available to the United States, and to give it to us now, we refused it. We didn't want to buy them. PolitiFact says the WHO never made that offer. Can you tell us?
Well, that's what I heard, and I'm going to let Tony answer that question.
I tried to cover this in the answer when I talked about quality of kits, and our quality analysis runs through the FDA. So all of these platforms, we have asked people to submit, and we've asked states to quality control. So, I mean, anybody could submit their test to us. We don't buy tests that haven't been quality controlled, and they show us the data. Either show us the data up front or show us the data after they've been running them. Because quality testing for our American people is paramount to us. It doesn't help to put out a test where 50% or 47% are false positives. Imagine what that would mean to the American people.
Yes. What's unfortunate, I did hear about that. You know, they mentioned that, you know, the first test, for at least the WHO test, was inaccurate and had been through the test. That's actually the opposite of what happened. The reason the WHO didn't offer us the test is because they only offer them for free to impoverished nations. We have to buy them. And the tests that were out that were inaccurate and not, you know, false positives and false negatives, as Dr. Burtz mentioned, were actually the CDC test, not the commercial tests.
Now, that is important. First of all, we have a constancy of lies that continuously come from the White House. The doctor, she attempted to imply that the WHO's tests were somehow given 47 to 50% false positive. The New York Times, there's an article here in the New York Times that completely, I mean, it's interesting because it is Mike Cisak who puts the article out, and it surprised me because what the article proves is that the doctor, in effect, was lying. And, you know, so I'm surprised that Mike Cisak, who defends the president all of the times, a friend of our shows that's always here, went ahead and he was the one who posted the New York Times article that pretty much says this woman lied. Of course, you have to read the article. And again, these articles usually say things like this person says this, that person says that. But if you read the article, it is quite clear that what happened is that this doctor came on here and lied about the efficacy of the WHO's testing. And not only did they lie about the efficacy of the WHO testing, what they failed to really show you is that one of the reasons they probably were attempting to not do this thing is that they wanted to make money. Okay? They probably wanted to make money on the coronavirus by restricting all these things to, companies that are favorable to the president. So let's be clear on that. Anyhow, so what I wrote this morning after I did that, I wrote the following: the country is in a panic right now. As far as I go to all major grocers in my area, including Costco, Sam's, Kroger, HEB, shelves are empty. Trump and his cabal at the time they are supposed to be leaders are busy lying to Americans. The mortality rate of coronavirus thus far, while higher than influenza, is relatively low for most people except the elderly and health compromised. So one wonders why most Americans are panicking when centralizing our efforts on the most affected may be apropos. Americans are panicking because of the vacuum left by the president and his administration. Vacuums are generally filled with the closest thing present. And given the absence of valid information, it gets filled with speculation and conspiracy theories. And notice what I said. Given that we have a failure of information out here, and by failure of information, I'm also talking about the media. The media is not out there. I mean, before I came to the show today, I went ahead and looked at newspapers in Norway, Chile, Argentina, and some other places to see how frantic they were handling these issues, okay? And I didn't go to Italy because I think Italy is in lockdown right now, and they are justifiably in a different frame of mind. But all these other countries were treating coronavirus as a matter-of-fact pandemic in which they're solving. It's an issue they're solving. In the case of Norway, they immediately passed laws to help the unemployed and to help business move forward. They didn't go into these crazy things that we go to with one ideology fighting the other, in as much as they have issues as well, but theirs went cleanly, like that. Chile is a problem economy because a lot of them were schooled by the Chicago boys who believe in an unfettered capitalist that is destroying country after country. But even their newspapers were more in sync with reality. Americans are panicking because of the vacuum left by the president and his administration. Vacuums are generally filled with the closest thing present, and given the absence of valid information from everywhere, it is being filled with conspiracy theories and otherwise. A friend who owns a restaurant in Houston called me very upset. Houston shuttered all of its restaurants and bars. He just cannot understand why such a debilitating and costly wound is being imposed on our economy. Ebola has a mortality rate between 25% to 90%, yet we never saw a reaction like this. Coronavirus, COVID-19, has a mortality rate that seems at worst to be 33 to 4%. Again, and it's probably less given that we don't really know how many people are being tested, right? Again, why the panic and that we're seeing? The reaction has more concern than the pandemic at this time because it leads one to wonder what we may be missing about this entire ordeal, or what are they not telling us? And that's, again, the reason I went ahead and joined the herd and stocked up as well. Because, again, hey, I don't know, right? Now, the mortality for COVID-19 appears higher than for influenza, especially seasonal influenza. While the true mortality of COVID-19 will take some time to fully understand, the data we have so far indicate that crude mortality ratio, the number of reported deaths divided by the reported cases, is between 3 to 4%. The infection mortality rate, the number of reported deaths divided by the number of infections, will be lower for seasonal influenza. Mortality is usually well below 0.1%. However, mortality is to a large extent determined by access to quality of care. Here's the magic. mortality is generally associated with the quality of care. Now, that bends itself to say, maybe we should have policies that create Medicare for all everywhere. I mean, it's people who want to say, Biden tried to use against Bernie Sanders in the debate, but wait a minute, Italy has single payer health care, and look, Italy has a lot of debts from yes, but Italy is bending the curve, and Italy responded as far as when the virus came in, as far as the type of city that it is, the Milan and all these cities that are very well, tourist city with everybody coming in. But once they took care of business, guess what? They started to bend that curve, but the people that are going into the system never have to worry, am I going to have to go bankrupt because I got the coronavirus? In America, the opposite is true. In America, we are probably getting a lot of infections because a lot of people are saying two things. We have such a lousy safety net, social safety net, that if I have a little sniffles or feeling a little bad, I am still going to go into work, and because I have to pay the bills. Let me tell you guys something. There are all kinds of bills being thrown around in Congress right now. All kinds of bills. But the one thing that is starting to create interest to me is that they want to send us all a check, including Mitt Romney and other Republicans. They want to send you a check. Wait a minute. How is that possible? That even Mitt Romney, conservative Republican, who thinks we need to all lift ourselves up by our bootstrap, want to send us a check. Let me explain something to you all. The title of this show was, or is, as follows. Are we overreacting to the coronavirus pandemic, or is it the exposure of a failed economic system? The stock market is way, way down. I don't know what it closed at. Let me go ahead and check out what the stock market closed at today. Let me see what it closed at today. The stock market dropped another, how many percent? Another 40. Bring the market down another 40%. Devilish math would bring the market down another 40%. Ouch. I don't want to read that because I don't have any confirmation on that. But let's see. The stock market, anybody go ahead and throw me in the link what the stock market is today. I'm looking up stock market, and for some reason I expected it to just, okay, what's the stock market today? Okay, looks like the Dow Jones fell 357 points today. That's a big improvement from the 2,000 something that it was down earlier. And the NASDAQ looked like it made a small recovery. That is because I think Bruce just says that they passed a bill. Okay, I see that. Okay, so that must be what kind of put a little bit of, but it's going to go right back down again because, like I mentioned, there's nothing holding up the economy. The title of the show was, of course, are we overreacting to the coronavirus, or is it an economic problem? It is an economic problem. First of all, a lot of this, remember what I said, there is a possibility that this may be a blessing in disguise for Mr. Trump. The stock market was going to fall. It was being inflated by a whole lot of these stock guys because there's nothing holding the stock market up. Ask yourself, why is the stock market at these record highs? What specifically are we doing to make us constantly going through these records? Are we producing more? Are we creating more value in companies? No. But you know what? The stock market was never, ever based on the real values of companies. That's what they tell you, but it was never based on that. The stock market has always been a gambling casino. It has always been a gambling casino who a particular sect in this country would always win. And if you happen to be invested at the good time with the winners, you won as well. I mean, it's hard to explain that to people, but we're going to try in a little bit. But beforehand, I need to remind all my good folks, I'm at the half-hour mark, that if you're just joining us, please, I implore thee, please share this show because what we talk are facts. What we talk are fact-based opinions. What we talk is news that many times the mainstream media doesn't cover in this form. So what we do ask, however, is that in the process of watching us, you also support us if you have the wherewithal to. So I'm asking you on the screen now, you can see that our store.politicsdoneright.com, we have a whole lot of little swag stuff. You know, we have our t-shirts, we have our mugs, we have our books, and in fact, we have our, as I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. And I even got a little bit personal to tell you the story about how I lost a whole bunch of weight to keep my pressure down and survive. I almost died a couple of years ago with my blood pressure going 240 over 140. I really had to start taking care of myself, and I kind of describe some of that in the book. So if you have the wherewithal, please go ahead and become a subscriber. So how do you subscribe if you wanted to subscribe? All those links are constantly scrolling to the bottom of the screen. How you can become a member of Politics Done Right, how you can become a supporter of Politics Done Right, how you can be one of those people that are making sure our brothers and sisters remain informed. And just give me about 35, 45 seconds more so that I can put those links up there in the chat room, because again, it's scrolling across the screen here, but I'd like to also place them in the chat room. So if you want to become a subscriber, please go to patreon.com/politics done right, and I have that in the screen right now. That's patreon.com/politics done right. Remember, this is a podcast as well, so people don't always see what's on the screen. If you want to support our equipment fund, please go to gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. If you want to just provide a contribution to our show, or want to do a monthly PayPal contribution or a one-time PayPal contribution, go to paypal.me/politics done right. Again, that is paypal.me/politics done right. And of course, we ask you again, please visit our store at store.politicsdoneright.com. Again, that is store.politicsdoneright.com. If you happen to be on YouTube, you can always give us a super chat at YouTube by just clicking on that super chat and saying, we want to make a contribution to Politics Done Right. Anyhow, folks, on the economic modeling, okay, here's the deal. We have been lied to for decades, forever, actually. We've been lied to forever. We have been made to believe that somehow our market economy is based on something, right? And the reality is it's imaginary. The real people that make this economy is you. That's why right now, if you look at Congress, as they saw that we were scared, and by the way, many of them made us scared, but as they saw that we were scared, as they saw that we were going to stop spending, check this out, right? They do a dupleta. Hicieron una dupleta. Y eso es lo que quiero decir ahora mismo. This is what they did. Because, you look at it and it's going to serve two purposes. And I want you guys to understand this right? Republicans never, ever, ever want to give social programs. Republicans never, ever want to give giveaways, child care, health care, none of that. Okay? They want to take as much blood out of you. And by the way, when I say Republicans, I'm also talking about neoliberal Democrats. Okay? I want to be very honest in what I am saying here. When Biden says, I am not supporting Medicare for all, when Biden says, and Klobuchar says that Bernie and Elizabeth Warren want to give people a whole lot of free stuff, they are exactly in the same mold of every neoliberal out there that somehow thinks we the people are looking for handouts, when we the people are the ones who keep this economy afloat. We are the ones who make things happen. We are the intellect. We are the designers. We do all the things. We create. That's who we are. Okay? Don't let anybody fool you. Those guys that control the purse strings, those guys that sit in the executive offices, they are worth nada, niet. They don't produce, they depend on us. Okay? We have to understand our self-worth. We must understand who we are. Now, a rebellion can occur in two ways. Check this out. We could say tomorrow. We could go ahead and say tomorrow, let's make a pact. 90% of the people out there who know that they make everything. We could make a pact and say, we are not going to buy gasoline anymore. For a month, we're going to stay without it. Okay? That will get the attention of the gas companies, and they will react immediately. They'll try to do something. They may even try to sue the person who started the program that says, let's have a boycott or whatever. They'll do all kinds of things in this capitalist society, not free enterprise, capitalist society. But here's the kicker. Something happened that created that same scenario. Coronavirus. So what did coronavirus do? Coronavirus said, folks, if you're just joining us, please help us get the real message out by sharing this program right now on your wall. Sharing this program right now will help make things right. But here's what coronavirus did, folks. Coronavirus said the following. Coronavirus said, oh my God, we didn't have to tell them to stop spending. Americans decided to stop spending on their own because they're scared. And that scared the plutocracy. That scared the funders. That scared the people who run society. So what did they do now? Suddenly, Republicans don't mind sending you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. So they're going to send back some of your money so that you can throw it back into the economy so it can go ahead and reinflate the corporatocracy. Because if you are not driving anymore, you're locked up in your home. You're not driving, you're buying less gas. You're not going to restaurants. So the big corporations, Kentucky Fried Chicken, I can't remember, McDonald's, all these guys are no longer seeing your money. So they need you to reinflate. So how do they do it? Okay. When they're, you notice even Governor Cuomo, he's against what the New York mayor who's saying, if it starts to spread in New York, we've got to lock down everything. He has to start thinking, no, we got to lock down everything now. We got to make sure McDonald's drive-through window is still okay. Remember, they don't come in contact with people, so hey, the drive-through window is still okay. Let's go ahead and give Americans $1,000. And then they can go to McDonald's, they can go to Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they can go to all these things and reinflate the economy. So that is what they're doing. They're not giving you that $1,000 or that $2,000 because they care about you. Remember, when Andrew Yang was talking about $1,000 a month per person, he was a socialist. He was giving people something for free. But it was only giving somebody something for free. Because here's why the corporatocracy doesn't like, if an economy is functional, why the corporatocracy does not want to go ahead and give people anything. Let me give you why. If the economy is humping and going just fine, why give people money that ultimately the people who pay taxes are going to have to pay for? And if the budget gets too bloated, the more than likely some government is going to come in and say, I got to tax corporations more. So they don't want that. But when people stop spending altogether, no están gastando nada, when they're not selling anything. We can't have that. We cannot have that. So we are going to, the government is going to give the people money so they can transfer that money to the corporations by continuing their purchases. So folks, Donald Trump, and when I said Donald Trump can win again, it's because what I'm saying is Donald Trump can do the following. Hey guys, when we had you in a panic about coronavirus and you needed cash, Donald Trump came to the rescue and I mailed you a check that said, Donald Trump is giving you $1,000. And by the way, that's what the check will say. When that check goes to every American family, it will be signed by Donald Trump. And that is what those folks in Appalachia are going to see. You see, our hero is taking care of us. Our hero is taking care of us. And Mike Cisak, all those folks that think they are not socialists, or think that they don't need anything from the state. I bet they're going to take that $1,000, that $2,000, that $3,000 and use it. Of course they will, because they should. They should. So let's be clear here. We have a defect in our economy. The stock market was going to go down. It was going to crash, immaterial to coronavirus. The reason coronavirus was so effective in crashing the market is that it was poised for a reason for a crash. Now, it could have been that that Putin could have crashed it with the oil fight that Saudi Arabia and Putin is having. I don't believe that. That is both Putin and Saudi Arabia wanting to crash the American economy because they want to kill the fracking industry. Not that we would care about that, but you see, Americans don't go through all these kind of level of machinations. They don't quite get that, right? Think about this. Putin is not Trump's friend. Putin is transactional with Trump. Putin is transactional with Trump. What is it that Putin is doing? Saudi Arabia is transactional with America as well. So the two of them get together and have a false fight. So Putin wants to crash the market, crash the oil market. Why? Because America is the number one oil producer now. And why is America the number one oil producer now? Because of fracking and because we can get all of these reasons, right? He doesn't want that. Doesn't want that. Saudi Arabia doesn't want fracking either because that affects their bottom line as well as being the major producer of oil. So they make believe there's this spat between Russia and Saudi Arabia to drop the price of oil. And then it drops. And what it really does is the only people that really suffers is we put the frackers out of business. And because these guys are sitting on a ton of bank loans on people who thought the price of oil would eventually go up so they could get all kinds of credit, guess what's happening? Check out the repo market and check out who's behind a lot of those. What happens, folks, is the cards had to come falling down because, again, we have an economy, we have an economic system that is based on a fallacy. And what is that fallacy? That somehow those on the top are worth anything. When we come to the point, in fact, and realize the drivers of our economy is us, then we will demand the appropriate taxes to recover what was stolen from our intellect, what was stolen from our work. And let me go ahead and now answer the questions on the bulletin board, or rather on the chat room. And the reason I want to do that is I know I'm going to get a chance to make some very important points that I want to make. But anyhow, Mike Cisak says, MIT biologist says fear-mongering on the coronavirus is a fraud. Okay, what I'm going to do, Cisak, is I'm going to go ahead as I speak to you, open that one here. And of course, I see where the biologist says that. And okay, exaggerate. Oh, some of what he said is true. All right, and then now you also put out there that says, Nocturma Duma, have you heard anything invalidating this? What invalidating what? Let's see, guidance for, let me see what that one is about before I make too much of a comment about it. Let's see, impact of non-pharmaceutical interventions to reduce COVID mortality and demand. I will read that after. I can't read it right now on the show, Mike Cisak, or rather, Nocturma Durma. And you know what? I need to salute all those that are here. I forgot to do that. I usually do that all the time. So Bruce Pollard, welcome aboard. Gregory Bars, welcome aboard. Mike Cisak, welcome aboard. Noctifer Duma, welcome aboard. Daniel Ledo, welcome aboard. Obi-Wan, welcome aboard. Bruce Pollard, my brother, welcome aboard. Grind Jr. Lou, welcome aboard. If I miss you, please forgive me. Kathy Courtney, welcome aboard. Sometimes I scroll too fast. Gregory Bartz, welcome aboard. Stream.io, welcome aboard. Okay, Lee Grant, welcome aboard. Okay, let me go ahead and talk about that. Okay, Daniel Ledo said the Kung Flu is exposing the enemies of the American people. For your information, due to your disgusting and admitted decision to use this crisis for our political ends, you are on the list. I don't know what list you're talking about, but I don't know also why you called it this Kung Flu. That speaks kind of a little bit. Explain Kung Flu to me. I don't know. I don't know if you're being. Explain what you mean by that. Mike Cisak, an Obama holdover in an obscure government arm helped cause the country's coronavirus crisis. Come on, guys. Donald Trump killed that department. The pandemic department. Okay, Daniel Ledo said he promised you this program will lie, mislead, and propagandize you. No, just tell the truth with fact-based opinion. Mike Cisak says, did federal officials really question who tests first? No, it was a Chinese test. No, again, even at that press conference, the doctor attempted to mislead Americans. And that is evil. That is immoral what she did. Going back now to tariffs. Tariffs are not a transfer of wealth from the average to the poor. They are so we don't have unbalanced trade deals, such as China selling billions of other goods and being more competitive than local businesses because of bad trade deals put together in the past. Yes, those costs do move on to the consumer. Most of the times, that's easy to solve by American. This is why we need, again, Obi-Wan, that would be true if and only if we had a manufacturing sector that produced enough goods and compete within America that made those goods at an averagely good price. But because most of our manufacturing is transferred elsewhere, American companies cannot compete effectively, and the ones that are left are able to suck it to you. And again, the tariffs are paid by Americans who, because of business decisions, were forced to buy these products. There's not that it's not even up for question. It is a statement of fact. And you know it as well, sir. Okay, statistically, coronavirus is not a pandemic. Well, but it's affecting the whole world, so it's a pandemic. Now, if you look at it and say, well, is a common cold a pandemic? I would say a common cold, if we had no immunity to a common cold, it would be considered a pandemic as well. But we have common immunity to a common cold. We get over it quickly. It doesn't kill most people, so it's not a pandemic. All right, Grain Junior Lou. They don't need 72 rolls of toilet paper, nor hoarding 20 gallons of milk. It spoils in 2 weeks. Yeah, but they freeze it. They freeze it, Grain. They freeze it. But we bought 2 loaves of bread. We don't need a lot of regular sliced bread, but we bought 2 loaves, and 2 loaves of bread will probably last us a month or two, to put it bluntly. Let's see. Mike Cisak says, late on Tuesday night, Dr. Birx confirmed that although she was responding to a question about the WHO test, she was referring to a study on an early... Yes, but she lied. She attempted... Again, she got caught and she tried to say, well, I blurred the line, I mixed the answer, period. She's a fraud. Mike Cisak, the paper found that in a specific subset of those tests in China, asymptomatic context of known cases, the test wrongly... Yes, but that's not the test the WHO is putting out. And what we were talking about, the question was about the WHO test being made in Germany that's being placed all over the world. Let's not try to... And Brother Cisak, please don't come on Politics Done Right where we attempt to give Americans truth and spin. I mean, it is okay to tell us what you found, but don't try to interpret what you found as a truth, as refuting a truth. Because what we tell here is the unadulterated truth. Kathy Courtney, another Texas death. I didn't know that, Kathy. I'll look that one up. Daniel Ledo says, maybe if we didn't have asshat activist journalists lying and using this virus to push their political agenda, we could act faster. Please tell me, how could we possibly act faster with the inept in chief not having test equipment, not having anything ramped up for more tests? This activist journalist is just one small activist journalist. That's it. That's all I am. Nothing big, and I still need your support. Daniel, where's your support? I'm waiting for your support, Daniel. Anyhow, Mike CSAC, the rate has already dropped to 1.4, and statistical analysis shows it will continue to drop past 0.4 in the next few weeks. And Mike, you know what? I think that's a possibility for real, Mike. And I think that is probably what the governor of New York was alluding to. That when we find all the people who are currently infected and we divide all the people who are currently infected by those who die, I mean, it could actually reach the point where it is the same as the flu. I mean, you're right about that. Again, that is not the issue that we're talking about, though, right? We're still talking about something that we don't have immunity for. And so we don't know. And you may be right, but until you are proven right, we have to assume otherwise. The overreaction comes from, as the governor says, right now we understand that treating it similar to the flu, meaning isolating oneself, is all that we have to do. Do we need to destroy an economy for that? No. Why then do we allow the economy to be destroyed for this? It is because the economy was going to fall anyway. This gives the perfect reason for the economy to crater because, again, we can now say the economy cratered because of the coronavirus, as opposed to saying the economy cratered because the capitalist tenet on which it is built is designed that after the excesses are taken by the plutocracy, by those 0.1%, after they've extracted, there's nothing of value there, and it falls right back, and then we reinflate it again. These are all provable things, folks. If you want to, if you're on YouTube, feel free to give us a super chat. Anyhow, let's see. Bruce Pollard, House bill passed by Senate, not enough, but a step in the right direction. Yeah, you're right, and I see that is why the stock market recovered, Bruce, because of the bill passing. Okay, Bruce also said, for me, the important number is percent of people over 65. I understand that, and that earlier the people at Daily Kos gave me a hard time because I said we shouldn't be concerned because it mostly doesn't affect most people. It just affects the elderly, and I was wrong for saying it that way. I should have said it only affects the elderly, and as such, we need to centralize our resources to ensure the elderly is taken care of if for some reason they contract it, but we should be also ensuring that we protect them from contracting the disease. And I didn't put all those wordings in, and somebody really docked me at Daily Kos, and I apologized to the entire group, to the entire page, and said, yes, I wrote that wrong. I should have been more I don't know what the word is, but I should have been more cognizant of what I was writing, but I fixed that. Okay, Daniel Ledo says, so on MSNBC and CNN today, is that Trump is a racist because he calls it the Chinese virus? At least these news organizations have their priorities in place to be assured of divided America. No, I think by him just saying the Chinese virus, Trump knows exactly what he's doing, okay? Trump wants another issue. And you're right about the media. They should have just ignored it. A lot of times, there are a lot of people that tell me silly things. And instead of giving the silly things legs, I ignore it and it goes away. It is like when people use the N-word on me. You have people that call into this show and use the N-word on me. And many times I would just say, you must be having a bad day. Is there anything that you want to accomplish by using that? But I never react, oh, I can't believe you said that. No, I can't bother with that because you know who you are, you know what you stand for, you know what you believe in, and you have value in yourself. Why worry about that? You don't have to worry about that. And it speaks more about the other person saying it. I think it speaks more about Donald Trump, that he uses words like that to sort of stereotype or stigmatize people. And if it goes ignored, it won't become an issue. But now what has happened is because MSNBC and CNN has made it an issue, instead of only talking about coronavirus and our economy, we're now going to be talking coronavirus, the economy, and a racist president. We could have eliminated the racist president out of it because we already know the president is a racist. Forget about that. That's who he is. Let's continue with the things that really matter. Okay, Bruce says they have plenty of ink and paper. Yes, sir. Bruce Pollard, look out inflation. I am not sure. I was talking about scarcity on another show, Bruce, where I said for there to be inflation, you have to have scarcity. A lot of the scarcity that we've had in this country was imposed scarcity. When we had the oil embargo, that was an imposed scarcity. When we have the price of water, that you spend a lot more for water than you spend on gas, that's a fake scarcity. You're surrounded by water, and people say, oh, but it's not potable water. But yes, still, if you process that water, it is cheaper than what we buy today in the grocery stores at a gallon. It's a lot easier to produce a gallon of water from salt water than it is to create to pump oil, process gasoline, and still yet a gallon of water a lot of times costs more than a gallon of gasoline. So let's be frank here. We don't have scarcity of things that matter. We don't have scarcity of food. We don't have scarcity of homes. We have a lot of homeless people, but we also have a lot of vacant homes. What we have is the unadulterated fallacy that the capitalist system can solve our problems. Supposedly, if the capitalist system could solve our problems, we have a lot of people that are ready to work right now. You have a lot of things that need to be done. The fact that we cannot connect those two means the current economic model is a failure. We have a lot of people that are sick. We have the capacity to educate doctors. The fact of the matter that we don't do that because our system does not allow us to do that means the economic system is a failure. And until we are able to honestly look at our economic system and say we have a failure because we cannot produce enough doctors to go ahead and cure our people, we cannot create enough jobs for people who want to work and the things that have to get done, we can grow as much food as we want, and we rather throw the food away than to feed people. We have excess homes, but we rather have the excess homes with people on the street than to depress prices by throwing people. I mean, our system is simply not functional, and to put it more bluntly, our system is evil. All right, let's see. Replying to Bruce Scalara, current, let's see. Free healthcare, free college, free money, and this guy says doesn't want a handout. No, it's not free healthcare. It is healthcare paid by all our taxes. That's a lie. Free college, it is pay it forward college. We all pay taxes, and one of the prices of our tax base, one of the costs of our tax base is to pay for college, just like we pay for high school, just like we pay for all these things. Free money? No, actually, not free money. The reason the government is wanting to give people money is to inflate the corporatocracy, not because they happen to now want to give the average American person free money. That's not what it is about. That is how they have taught you to spin it, Daniel Ledo. But I bet once that $1,000 come, you're going to grab that $1,000 and say, yeah, I got some money. I can go for a vacation. Mike Cisak, Egberto, you and all socialists in this country could get together, establish a commune, and fund your own needs in that commune. Yeah, and of course, but you know how I want to fund that commune? I want to take back all the money that we use to prepare the streets for you, to put you through school, to help your farm, all of that. All the money that we gave you to form the commune that I want to form, then I'm going to ask you to pay us back. Because I can guarantee you society has paid you more than you have paid into society, given your profession, my dear brother. Lee Grant, death to the kulaks. I don't know what that means. Okay, maybe that's big. Everybody is kung flu fighting. Come on, Lee Grant, that's not cool. Daniel Edo, kung flu is a humorous way to refer to Chinese-based viruses. Wow. Wow. Hey, Cindy Hendrickson, how you doing, my friend? Great to see you. Love you. All that good stuff. All right, the whole show is spin. Oh, really? Everything that I talk about is facts, brother. Daniel Lado, editorial. No, Scott Tillins says editorializing. Wow, so other people can editorialize, but some of us can't? Come on now. The virus has exposed all the weak points globally. You are absolutely right, Cindy Hendrickson. Troy Astro, somebody should help the old people. Yes, we all should. Troy Astro, some who calls a talk show the N-word, you're automatically a racist. Somebody who calls a talk show the N-word. No, well, not only that, they call and say it all the time. If you go to my website, egbertowillies.com, every time they do it, I make a story out of it because I find it kind of amusing. Because anybody think that calling me by some name or whatever has any effect on me, it's kind of funny because I usually say, oh my God, I'm so sorry for that person. They must have a difficult life that they, that's how I feel about racists, okay? There was a time in my life when I'm running out of time, when I was a homophobe. I was an idiot. I was a fool. Then I learned, I educated myself, and I became no longer that. Folks, we're at the end of the show. I want to remind all my good friends to please go ahead and visit our store, store.politicsdoneright.com, store.politicsdoneright.com. politicsdoneright.com. Support the show. You can also support the show, folks, by going and becoming a subscriber. I need subscribers to keep this thing going. Go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Troy Asher, thank you so kindly for tuning in from Detroit. I am also a Bernicrat myself. Unfortunately, we're not going to do it this time, but we are going to keep the fight going, brother. We have a lot of work to do. You want to contribute to our equipment fund? GoFundMe.com/independent-media-upgrade. You want to contribute to the show as well? Or if you just want to contribute to the show, go to paypal.me/politicsdoneright. But of course, get yourself a t-shirt, get yourself a cup, get yourself our As I See It, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. Drop me a line and say you want a sticker, a bumper sticker for your car. This is for you, free of charge. Of course, if you want to drop a $5 for that as well, it would be great. I tell you my story about how I almost died, but I found a way to lose weight, keep it off. I wrote a book about it because I figure even activists have to keep themselves together. Folks, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby, and it goes like this. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.